All right, it's Thursday afternoon and we are tracking storms across anywhere from the eastern side of Texas all the way up into Kentucky here, okay? So we do have a tornado watch and a severe thunderstorm watch in place right now. That tornado watch is highlighted in this yellow. However, that severe thunderstorm watch is filled in yellow. So it may be a bit confusing here, but that tornado watch on the southern side here, all the way from the eastern side of Texas up into Kentucky, that goes until 10 o'clock this evening, and severe thunderstorm watch into Arkansas. We also have several severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings in place right now. I actually jumped on here because I was watching for those tornado warnings just to the south of Nashville. So we're going to head up to Nashville here in just a few minutes and we'll talk about exactly what we see in these areas. But put your questions, put your comments in the comment center right now. I will tell you I'm doing this without a producer today because our producers are very busy mapping these storms. Their brains are needed to map these storms that you can see right here. So I will be coming over here to my computer, moving the radar around. You're going to be able to see this, okay? But I need your questions. I need your comments. I need to make sure that you can hear me out there, okay? Because I don't have a producer to do that today. But I want to show you these different severe thunderstorm warnings right now. So let's get some information on these warnings. I think that the first warning that we're talking about here is for up to 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Very, very marginal risk here, and this is just to the south of Memphis, an area that got hit yesterday, right around this time actually, and even into the late night hours. Okay, moving up to the north here, we're going to see a few more of these storms and see what we can pick out from these storms. We'll just move up to Tennessee. Alrighty, so into Nashville now. We did have a severe thunderstorm warning that could have produced up to 2-inch size hail. I was seeing some of those swaths change color on our hail trace maps, hailtrace.com. I was watching those swaths pop up earlier. And so I think what we got out of here is right around that ping pong to golf ball size hail just to the south of Tennessee, excuse me, just to the south of Nashville. So this is places like Columbia up to Franklin, or maybe right in the middle of these two cities right here. Moving up to the north into Kentucky, we do have in Buckhorn, you can see that we've got a rotating storm right here, most likely producing some sort of a large hail. Let's see, what is this hail size? Alrighty, looking on my maps here to see what this hail size is, we have, this is warned for, you guys have to give me a minute here because remember I am doing this without a producer today. This is warned for 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and I think that this will pop up on the screen. There you go. For Dice, Hardshell, Krypton, and Oneida, again, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and 1-inch hail there. Kind of zooming out here to give you a wider look, we've got more showers and storms anywhere from Louisville all the way up to Charleston, West Virginia. These are not severe warned, and I really don't expect anything this far north to go severe warned. That'll be mainly down to the south near this frontal passage. We have one question about Columbus, Ohio. Now, I think that today Columbus is out of the storm risk, but I can double check for you for that. Really what we're watching for today is anywhere from, and I am correct on that. I do want to tell you I am correct on that. Columbus, Ohio, outside of the storm risk. What we're watching for severe storms is to the south of Columbus. So we're talking about Charleston, all the way down into central Texas, including Dallas, including portions of the west side of Texas here, including Abilene, Midland, and Stockton, and mainly that for the hail risk. If you go a little bit farther into Arkansas, what you're seeing right here, you're seeing more of that tornado risk. So we're watching for any of these storms to go potentially tornadic. We do have some hail reports here. So let's see if we can pick out our LSRs and get an idea of what these hail reports are for. So you can see some of those hail reports zooming in to Pine Bluff, just to the south of Little Rock. We have several hail reports popping up here. And let's see if we can pick these out here. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe It may not let me pick out these hail reports here. Interesting. Okay, well, either way, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning ongoing just to the south of Little Rock here, and we will continue to watch this. I want to see what this severe thunderstorm is warned for. There you go. You can see it highlighted in yellow. Do you see that highlighted in yellow right there? Anywhere from Pine Bluff all the way up to the northeast into Clarendon, or just to the south of Clarendon, and this is warned for. It's filled in yellow, so I'm kind of wondering if this is confirmed. It's warned for 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and if it is confirmed, that is because of these hail reports back here as that storm moved to the north and east. So again, for 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Now, I do think that we have a tornado warning farther down to the south, so let's take a look at that tornado warning here. And this would be, where we're going next is Texarkana. Yes, we do have a tornado warning. You can see that highlighted in red, and then a severe thunderstorm warning farther up to the north and east. So let's get some information on this tornado warning. I think that, okay, so this tornado warning goes until 4:30 this afternoon. It's only warned for another 2 minutes here. So I'm going to actually look on radar scope. You often hear John and I talking about radar scope because it gives you just a different look of the storm. And I want to look at the storm relative velocity. And I'm going to switch over here to storm relative velocity. You're going to be able to see that on my screen. And we're going to get down into this tornado warning. So let's get down here. Storm relative velocity shows the winds, not only their speed, but also the direction that they're going. And we are far enough away from the radar that it does look like we may be getting some bad data in here. But you can see where those reds and those greens are touching. That's where we're watching for the strongest rotation. And actually, I'm going to move a little bit farther up here. This is where we're watching for that rotation. This tornado, potential tornado, just moving out to the north and east of the warning, so I do expect this warning to be extended within the next few minutes. They've let it expire. Let's see if they'll reissue another warning here. Move this up a little bit so you can see what we're looking at here. Either way, we are expecting a little bit of hail out of these storms as well. This severe thunderstorm warning is warned for 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. This is for Garland, Louisville, and Stamps just to the south of Texarkana. People impacted here, up to about 5,000 residents in this area. Let's see if I've missed any questions. Still without a producer, we can answer your questions here. So let me know your questions, and I can see them in front of me. I see the question about Columbus, Ohio. We answered that question. What other questions do we have? I see a lot of people jumping on here. A lot of people, and I can see exactly where you guys are jumping on from. We've got lots on X right now. Now, one note about X is that you cannot comment on X. You have to do that from either Facebook or YouTube. So if you have a question, go to Facebook or YouTube and you can comment on there. Again, where you're looking at right now is just to the south of Texarkana into the Folk area, and I hope that I'm saying that correctly. For those of you who are just jumping on, let's zoom out here and let's give you a wide look on what you're looking at here. A line of storms that are popping up pretty isolated right now, but they will congeal into a line as we head into the rest of the afternoon. So let's move over to more of our composite radar here and give you an idea of what you're looking at here. So we have several severe thunderstorm warnings, one just outside of Little Rock, the other down to Texarkana. No tornado warnings at this moment. However, we did have a tornado warning just to the south of Nashville just about an hour ago. Memphis, we've got a severe thunderstorm warning down by you as well, and one brand new severe thunderstorm warning going anywhere from the northern side of Mississippi all the way down to the southern side of Tennessee. Now, I see Melissa commenting on here, Smyrna, Tennessee. Can you give me a little bit more information about where that is in Tennessee, and we can zoom into that region? I don't know my Tennessee towns as well as I know some other states like Arkansas and Oklahoma, but we can get down into Tennessee. I've got my Nashville radar pulled up right now, and while we're waiting for more information about that location, let's talk about this new severe thunderstorm warning that is moving into Savannah, Tennessee, on the south side of the state right now. This severe thunderstorm warning is for 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, impacting about 36,000 people, going until 5:45. So we've got another hour left on this severe thunderstorm warning. It includes Farmington, Nixon, Savannah here, and I did see another comment come in. Let's see what your comment was. South of Nashville. Let's head up there. Let's go up to south of Nashville. So moving up to the Nashville area, so you're severe clear right now. You may have had that tornado warning or even severe thunderstorm warning just about an hour ago. You still have another chance for storms as this slowly moves to the south and east. So be vigilant over the next hour or two, maybe even a bit longer than that, as these storms slowly creep down to the south and east. This is from a front that is just kind of hanging out anywhere from Nashville all the way down to the Texarkana area. And as these storms get closer to the front, they do have the chance to go severe, which is why we're seeing the southern side of these storms, out ahead of that initial line. That's why we're seeing them be the strongest. And then they'll track up to the north and east while this entire front slowly moves down to the south. Everyone always asks about storm motion here. They say, what direction are those storms moving? Well, most of these storms will be moving to the north and east. But the line of storms moving down to the south and east, which I know is confusing for a lot of people. So here's how I usually explain it. Think about a football team, how they're moving the ball up to the end zone, right? But they're all moving different directions. Very similar with these storms. They could be moving one direction, but slowly advancing the ball, or we'll say advancing that front down to the south and east. So I hope that makes a little bit more sense and gives a little bit more insight into storm motion here. Either way, we'll tell you where these storms are moving as those severe thunderstorm warnings pop up. What we're seeing in Tennessee right now, because I know we had a question about just to the south of Nashville, nothing severe right now. We are seeing one severe thunderstorm warning in all of Tennessee down on the south side. However, if you look back to the south and west into Little Rock, you see that these storms are moving up. Draw a line here. You go right to the south of Nashville. So for those who asked about the southern side of Nashville, you don't have any severe warnings right now. However, you do have more storms coming. So stay vigilant over the next few hours to keep an eye on the radar. We had another question about I think it was eastern side of Oklahoma and western Arkansas. So let's move down there. Here's the Texarkana area. So depending on where you live, I'll show you both the severe thunderstorm watch and the tornado watch. Highlighted there in pink is your severe thunderstorm watch. That goes until 10 o'clock tonight. It includes Hot Springs, Little Rock, and North Little Rock. So if you're on the far western side over here, that severe thunderstorm watch goes until 10 o'clock this evening. You could have storms up until the late evening hours. Moving down to the tornado watch. Now that also goes until 10 o'clock, so that includes places like Camden, Pine Bluff, and Stuttgart there. That is just the south of Little Rock. Little Rock, severe thunderstorm watch. To the south, including Texarkana, tornado watch. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning in Texarkana, so let's head down there. And you guys kind of know the drill here. You have to stand by while I get down there because I'm doing this without a producer today. And our phenomenal Mets are mapping those storms, which is why I don't have a producer, because they're working very hard. They're mapping those storms that you see right here. Another severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 5 o'clock here. This severe thunderstorm was tornado warned earlier, so it does have a history of rotating and potentially spinning up a tornado. Those spin-ups don't necessarily mean a weak tornado. You've probably heard me say this many, many times. It means that it could spin up very quickly, so you may not have a ton of warning, which is why they go ahead and they put on that severe thunderstorm warning, because what you're seeing right now is probably some hail right up to the size of a quarter and wind gusts 60 miles an hour. What other questions do we have this evening? We have one question about Franklin, Tennessee, in the Spring Hill area. Let's check this out. Once again, just to the south of Nashville. So you don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings in Franklin right now. However, you have a few back to your south and west, and that could result in those storms moving into Tennessee, into Nashville over the next few hours. So let's take a look at that right here. So Nashville, just in the southern side of Nashville, did get hail earlier. Did you get hail in Franklin, Tennessee? Just the south of Nashville, have you gotten hail yet? Because we saw some storms about an hour ago produce hail, some pretty good sizes in there as well. Maybe this storm right here producing some very, very, very small hail. If it's not up to the size of a quarter, the National Weather Service won't warn it. They want quarter size or larger to warn these storms, because that's whenever it starts to get dangerous. But draw a line from Nashville down to the southwest. These storms are moving to the northeast, so they could be moving to Nashville over the next few hours. I know that people are going to roll their eyes whenever I say this, but let's do some math right here. I'll give you a little bit of information about this severe thunderstorm warning right here. We'll draw a line and we'll see how far away this storm is from Nashville, and we'll talk about how long it's going to take to get to Nashville. So give me just a minute. We'll draw that line here. So if this is moving to the north and east, it's about 102 miles away from South Nashville. And this storm in particular is moving at 45 miles an hour. So it's going to take a little over 2 hours to get to Nashville. So that's why I'm saying be vigilant over the next few hours. While you may not have anything severe warned right now, in about 2 hours, this storm could become your problem. And then you've got another one behind it that could become your next problem, okay? So that's why I'm saying be vigilant now. It is about 5 o'clock, so people are hitting the roads. They're headed home right now from their day of work. So hopefully they can get home and be prepared by the time those storms come in. What other questions do we have on this Thursday afternoon? Mark says, hello again from Dallas. Dallas storms are going to be a little bit more likely into the overnight hours tonight. So we're not talking about storms right now in Dallas. However, very similar to this morning, you're going to get storms tomorrow morning in the early morning hours. We're talking 2, 3 a.m. And most of those storms will be on the west side of Dallas, if not outside of the city. So you're going to start seeing those storms down in like the San Angelo area, moving up to the north, potentially impacting Dallas. Now this morning, I think that you guys got spared from those storms, right? I don't think that there was anything in Dallas this morning. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning going right into Little Rock right now. Switching over to our Little Rock radar here, let's get some information on this severe thunderstorm warning. Small hail, less than the size of a quarter, and high winds up to 60 miles an hour. So it is warned for the wind right here. The National Weather Service is saying that a severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from Bryant to 6 miles west of Cane Creek near Dogwood, moving at 60 miles an hour. So it's moving to the northeast at 60 miles an hour. And the biggest hazard here is that high wind. Here, I'll step out of the way so that you can read the severe thunderstorm warning. That high wind is the biggest hazard here. That hail size is going to be pretty small with this storm that's moving into Little Rock. And if we clear away this black box here, you will be able to see that this storm is just on the west side of Little Rock right now. Probably some of the strongest areas of this storm right here. Now it gets really difficult the closer we are to the radar. The closer we are to the radar, there's a lot of clutter that goes on right here, so you may not see it as well right in here. But the southern side of the storm tells me that we probably have some really heavy rain with this impacting, obviously, your evening commute, and maybe a little bit of small hail. But that hail looks very unlikely. It's going to be more of that rain threat right in here. What other new severe thunderstorm warnings do we have? We'll kind of click through some of these here. This one out in Meadowbridge. Zoom out so you can see where this is at. This one is as far east as West Virginia, out in Meadowbridge, West Virginia here. Let's get some information on this storm because I do think that we could see some hail with this. One-inch size hailstones and 60-mile-per-hour winds. Now, again, this is something that we have seen just over and over and over the last 20, 30 minutes while we've been doing this live, is that they are just warning this for what we consider marginally severe. Okay, marginally severe is 1-inch size hailstones and 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds. Or, I mean, you don't need both of these for a severe thunderstorm warning. You really only need one of these to go severe. That's kind of the case over in Little Rock right now, where we only have that high wind up to 60 miles an hour. We don't even have that hail with that storm. Other questions that we have right now popping up in our chat. Mark says that they did get spared from those storms this morning out in Dallas. That's good to know. Well, we'll see if that happens again, or we'll see if storms hit Dallas. You guys have 2 more chances for storms to hit you, not only overnight tonight into tomorrow morning in the very early morning hours tomorrow, and then once again on Saturday. Another question for Smyrna, Tennessee. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I don't see any dangerous, the question is, are there any dangerous tornado-like formations on the south side of Nashville? And we do have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning in Nashville right now. And I do think that this is warned for a possible tornado. Let's take a look at this in Nashville. Let me see if can we switch over to the Nashville radar here? It should be switching over, but I'm not quite sure why it is not. Well, either way, we will zoom down here and we'll see if we can switch over to the Nashville radar right now. Yeah, your velocity isn't looking great whenever we're not using that radar. Let's see. So let me give you some information about this warning, and then we'll figure out our radar issues here. So it is for 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gust headed into Nashville proper right now. This severe thunderstorm warning, getting some more information here on my phone, says that yes, a tornado is possible with this. And I'm getting a little bit more information, reading what the National Weather Service has to say. Tornado possible. So where we're watching for that is on the New Hope area, right down here on the southwest side of this polygon here. And let me see if I can pull in the Nashville radar here. I'm not quite sure what our issues are about switching that from the West Virginia radar over, but we'll see if we can fix this problem real quick. And then we can get a look at your velocity. We can take a look at your correlation coefficient. So if we do have a tornado, we will see that form on the southern side of Nashville. That is where we're watching for that potential tornado. It's not tornado warned right now. It is a severe thunderstorm warning with tornado possible. And it looks like we are getting data from our Nashville radar. So let me see if we can pull up our camera to Nashville once again. There we go. There's your Nashville radar right there. Okay, here we go. You guys get to see some inside baseball here as I mess with my graphics. You don't often get to see this, right? Because I'm either doing this blog style or I've got a producer back there. So with our different style today, you get to see some inside baseball about how we fix our graphics. Even whenever we can't get something to pull up, we problem solve back here when we figure it out. Okay, now are we going to flip over to Nashville? I'm not quite sure. We're still having a few issues here. Either way, this is what you're watching for right here in the New Hope area. This is what we're watching for right here near Spring Hill. You're probably getting some hail with this as well. You could see hail up to the size of a quarter, so that's the size of a quarter, 1 inch in size in the Spring Hill area. So this is like the New Hope area, south of Nashville, moving to the north and east, and I'll get you that track here. Moving to the northeast at 60 miles an hour, moving pretty fast here. And this really shows you that storms can pop up very, very quickly. I'm going to move through some of these cities here. There's your Nashville radar. See, I told you we could problem solve this out. Alrighty, new tornado warning. New tornado warning for Corinth, which is on the south side of Tennessee. So there is your Mississippi-Tennessee state line. We have a brand new tornado warning right here, moving to the north and east. And we have a new tornado warning, another one. Or maybe this may be the same one. Okay. So that storm that's south of Nashville is not tornado warned. However, it is capable of producing a tornado. So they're not warning it yet, but they're saying, hey, make sure that you have a plan in place so that you know that you need to shelter if this thing continues to organize. So it strengthened really quickly. It was not severe warned earlier. It is severe warned now. And they're saying, hey, make sure that you have a plan in place in case this does organize. New severe thunderstorm warning. This is for the eastern side of Arkansas. This was an area that was hit pretty hard yesterday, and so let's see what this is warned for now. This severe thunderstorm warning is warned for small hail up to the size of a quarter, so small hail here, most likely the size of a penny, and 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds. But this is an area that we saw some really large hail yesterday, and it got hit very, very hard yesterday. So I'm sure that the people in this area are on guard. They're making sure, they're saying, you know, what's going to happen after we saw all of those strong storms yesterday. Now, I know we have a lot of people watching on from Nashville, so I'll go back over to our severe thunderstorm in Nashville right now, and we'll make sure that you guys are aware of what's going on in this area. This severe thunderstorm warning goes until 5:15, so we've got another 25 minutes left on this warning. This storm is moving pretty quickly. You couldn't outrun this storm. It's going about 60 miles an hour to the north and east, so you can see the direction of this storm right here, moving to the north and east. Again, not tornado warned, coming out of Columbia and moving into the southern side of Nashville, including some of those cities that we've talked about already, including Brentwood, Franklin, and Smyrna. Again, I hope that I am saying that town name correctly. What other questions do we have on this Thursday afternoon? Again, I can see your questions on Facebook and YouTube, and I think LinkedIn as well, but if you're watching from Twitter, which I know we have a lot of Twitter watchers that always join in, you can't comment on Twitter, unfortunately. You can only comment on Facebook and YouTube. Derek is saying hi from Orlando. Thanks for jumping on. They're down there for a leadership conference down in Orlando, so we appreciate you guys watching in Orlando. No storms in Orlando today. I don't think so, at least. All of those storms are back here at home or to the east of Oklahoma. We're located here in Oklahoma City, but then, of course, those storms just to the east there into Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia. Brand new severe thunderstorm warning. We can take a look at this warning. Click on that and go down to Mitchell Heights area into Madison. This is in West Virginia. These storms in West Virginia are popping up all over the place. They're going severe very fast. We didn't have any severe thunderstorm warnings earlier, and now we have 1, 2, 3 warnings out of West Virginia right now. So let's get some information on this severe thunderstorm warning. Very similar to what we've been seeing just over and over and over this evening. 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. I think the only severe thunderstorm warning I've seen so far that was warned for anything over that quarter-size hail has been to the south of Nashville. That is where we saw up to 2-inch size hailstones. Now let's go. We've got a new tornado warning. Let's go to this new tornado warning. Same place that we were talking about earlier, moving out of Mississippi, moving into Tennessee, and I wonder if now they're including that far, far northwestern corner of Alabama into this tornado warning. I think that's why it updated, is because they are including that far northwestern corner of Alabama into this, so they're just barely extending that tornado warning, just barely. And looking at my radar scope here, it looks like that's exactly what happened here. A new update from the National Weather Service. This tornado was observed. A confirmed tornado located near Pine Flat, or 8 miles west of J.P. Coleman State Park, is moving to the northeast at 55 miles an hour. The biggest hazard here, coming from the National Weather Service, is damaging tornado and quarter-sized hail. So again, this is confirmed, moving out of Mississippi, moving into the northwestern corner of Alabama and into the southern side of Tennessee. Now this was the same storm that I told you all in Nashville, was about 2 hours away from the southern side of Nashville. Now if its northeast track, it will go to basically where we have that severe thunderstorm warning right now. It'll stay right along this line, going up to Columbia and the south side of Nashville within about 2 hours. If it turns a little bit farther to the east, which oftentimes if it does, it'll become more of a tornado producer, it'll stay in the southern side of Tennessee and over the next few hours go to the south of Nashville, not hitting Nashville proper, but stay to the south of Nashville. What other questions do we have on there right now? Mark Anthony is saying our local in Dallas is calling for a 40% chance for hail. I know that risk keeps updating and upgrading for Dallas to get hail, not only today but also tomorrow. Our day 2 outlook tomorrow, the Storm Prediction Center is now expecting large hail in Dallas. Not just hail, but large to very large hail, which the National Weather Service says, I think it's over 2 inches. I think that's their threshold for large to very large hail. So yeah, that keeps increasing, that risk keeps increasing for DFW and for places to the west of DFW, which includes places like San Angelo. Okay, moving out, we're going to get a wide view of what's going on right now, because I know we've talked about several different severe thunderstorm warnings over the last 20 minutes, and then we are going to go down into Texarkana. So we have a severe thunderstorm warning in Nashville, potentially capable of producing a tornado. Several more severe thunderstorm warnings as we go up into Kentucky and West Virginia, also potentially capable of producing a tornado. As we go down to the south and to the northern side of Mississippi, just outside of Memphis here, we've got another severe thunderstorm warning. Small hail with this line of storms. Not terribly worried about the hail that's moving into Little Rock right now. This is warned for 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds. And if we move down to the south, I think we have a brand new tornado warning just coming out of Texarkana, so that is where we're going to go next. Let's get some information on this storm. So we're using our Shreveport radar right now. This tornado warning goes until 5:30, so we've got about 34 minutes left on here. Your hail size with this is not looking terribly impressive, up to 1-inch size. This is including Louisville, Rosstown, and Willisville. Again, going until 5:30, and I can get you a storm motion. Give me just a minute to get that storm motion here. This is moving to the northeast at 45 miles an hour, and again, this is radar indicated, so it is not confirmed, but we see enough rotation that we could see a tornado from this, which is why this prompted the National Weather Service to issue a tornado warning. And let's see if we can get a little bit more information on this storm. Switching to storm relative velocity here, and again, we're a little bit a ways from the radar. So let me see if we can get storm relative velocity. Give me just a minute. We're looking for our storm relative velocity, but usually our producer will go back and forth here. Okay, let's try this. Again, just outside of Texarkana, we have a new tornado warning, and we can now switch on. All right, here we go. Let's zoom into this area right here. This tornado warning, again, goes until 5:30, so we've got another 32 minutes left on this. And what we're watching for are where these reds and greens meet. So where would you see that at? Right in here. This is where we're watching for that potential tornado. Switching over to reflectivity, you can see that it's a little cluttered here, but right into the Old Town Louisville area, that is where we're watching for that potential rotation. Not potential rotation, there is rotation in here. Storm is rotating. Now, has it produced a tornado? It's radar indicated. It is not confirmed. Let's look at our correlation coefficient. Not terribly impressed with this correlation coefficient here, so I do not think that this is on the ground at this moment. However, we could see a little bit of hail included in this storm. Again, let's get some information on this tornado warning. It's moving to the northeast at 45 miles an hour. So this tornado warning goes until 5:30 this evening. And that is just outside of Texarkana. This severe thunderstorm warning, however, goes until 6 o'clock this evening, and they have upped our hail size in this. I kind of wondered if they did. So they upped our hail size to $half size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. This is for a very large portion of the Texarkana area. Okay, a brand new tornado warning. Let's take a look at this brand new tornado warning. Get some information on this. This tornado warning goes until 5:45, so we've got another 45 minutes on this, and I'll get some more information from RadarScope here in just a minute once it uploads. This tornado warning hasn't even hit my RadarScope yet, so it may take just a minute. The hail in this area, not terribly impressive, but we can take a look at our storm relative velocity, and we can look at that rotation. So storm relative velocity will show you those reds and the greens of not only the intensity of that wind, but also the direction of it. So the reds moving away from the radar, the greens moving towards the radar, and that is where we find our rotation. There you go. It's not a great view here. It's quite cluttered. And that's probably because we're so far away from the radar. But there are two areas that stick out to me right here. One area, I'll back up so that you can see what I'm looking at here. Right here, the other up here. Both of those in that tornado warning here. Anywhere from Garland, moving out of the east side of Garland up to the northern side of Stamps, outside of Texarkana here. And then moving up to the north and east of, there's not too many cities around here, north of Magnolia, Arkansas. Let's see if we can get any other information from the National Weather Service. They're saying this is radar indicated as well. Nothing confirmed at this time, moving to the northeast at 45 miles an hour. So nothing confirmed, radar indicated, because they see that rotation on the radar just like what we're seeing right here. Let's let's zoom out a little bit because we've spent some time in Texarkana. Let's get a check on that tornado warning that's moving into Tennessee right now. Just one update before we do that, however. I know we've got a lot of people from Nashville watching right now, so I want to give you a little bit of an update from those storms that are moving into Franklin. These are seemingly pretty slow, but I do think earlier the storm motion was 60 miles an hour. So let me get an update for you on this storm. This is moving to the northeast at 60 miles an hour. That's what I said earlier. You could see up to quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Again, this is what we consider a just marginally severe storm. And now we are not seeing from the National Weather Service. So they did put the TOR tag on here. They did. They have the TOR tag still on here, which that means that they put that tornado tag on here. They're saying tornado possible. So there's a low potential that this could continue to rotate and produce a tornado. They're not worried about it enough to issue a tornado warning, but they're saying that is a potential here. Occasionally that will set off your WIA on your phone, but usually it doesn't. Usually you do not set off your WIA on your phone. That's your wireless emergency alerts. That's what it stands for. So before we hop off of here, because I know it's 5 o'clock, so I'm going to hop off and we may switch to blog style here in just a few minutes. But before we hop off, I want to give you guys an update on your storm risk for the rest of the evening, because we've been talking about Dallas, but let's talk about timeline here for Dallas and for the rest of the evening. We talked about that hail risk in Little Rock today. You know, at this point, I may bring that down to like a moderate risk, because what we're seeing are those storms moving into Little Rock. They're not producing a ton of hail. They're staying on the smaller side. They're staying right around nickel-sized hail. However, if we could get an isolated storm, could we get up to tennis ball size hail today? I think that's possible, but it's going to stay very isolated. We did already get one severe thunderstorm warning out of Nashville, warned for a 2-incher, so 2-inch size hailstones, just a tad bit smaller than the size of a tennis ball. So we'll see if we can continue to get those strong storms throughout the rest of the evening. Stay vigilant. Make sure that you're keeping an eye on your radar. This is the SBC issued risk for today. We have that enhanced risk, which is a level 3 on a scale of 5. We've seen these storms, what these models have predicted, we've seen this come into fruition here. So I think what you're looking at here is the NAM 3K. We've seen some stronger storms down in Texarkana, several of those tornado warned. We've seen those stronger storms down to the south and eastern portion of Arkansas, moving into Tennessee as well. Nashville, I know we've got a lot of people joining us from Nashville this evening. Nashville is right on the edge of that enhanced and marginal risk, that slight and marginal risk, that level 1 to level 2. We will continue to see storms going into Nashville and the central and western portion of Tennessee, including Kentucky too with this, as we head into the late night hours. So I told you to stay vigilant over the next few hours. Even by 9:30, some of the strongest storms have not tracked into Nashville. By the time we get into the early morning hours tomorrow, Dallas, this is your turn, okay? So we start to see more storm formation down into the central portion of Texas, as far south and west as San Angelo. Yes, we have had an upgraded risk from what we saw at noon today. So if you watched our forecast at noon, we have an upgraded risk compared to what we saw at noon. So it's great to get your forecast multiple times, not just once. We are expecting the storms to continue into the early morning hours, tracking out of Texas and into Oklahoma, losing a lot of steam as they move up to the north. However, once again, another line of storms lines up, and that's what we're watching for the next 24 hours. As we head into Friday, that storm risk increases into the late morning and early afternoon hours. By the time we get into the evening hours, these isolated storms are something that you need to keep an eye on. We're talking about discrete supercells that could produce that large hail, and once again, impressive tornado risk. So really why the Storm Prediction Center upgraded this from a level 3, highlighted in orange, to a level 4, highlighted in pink, was because of that tornado risk. So again, southeastern Oklahoma, including places like Idabel, down to Texarkana, into Little Rock, Hot Springs, Arkansas, all included in that level 4 risk for several tornadoes. Probably not just a tornado, several tornadoes. Kyle asks, any hail right now going on in Little Rock? So earlier that severe thunderstorm warning was warned for less than the size of a quarter, but we can go back. We can check that before I head off of here. That's just a great example of stick your questions in the chat, and I'll try to answer those before I hop off here. Future radar into Friday night. This has been the trend over the last few days, is that once the sun goes down into the late night hours, we see redevelopment in Texas. So here we go once again into San Angelo, all the way up into the central western portion of the state, even as far east as Dallas. Could get some of those isolated supercells into the overnight Friday and into Saturday. Your wind forecast for today, I kept it right around 70 miles an hour for your highest wind. I'm not terribly impressed with our wind forecast today. There's your tornado forecast for today. Again, it's a very thin line of the potential for a tornado today, but if something could organize, if something could become isolated and discrete enough, we could see some large tornadoes or strong tornadoes in this area. Taking a look at your future radar late tonight and into early tomorrow morning. We've kind of talked about this already, but we did talk about those redeveloping storms out to the north of San Angelo, right along I-20, potentially as far east as Dallas. Again, the Dallas Metro is still included in a risk here. I know some people are saying, I think that we're done. I think that you still have a risk out in Dallas. This is your risk for this evening and to tomorrow. We talked about this a little bit. But before I go, I do want to make sure that I get to your risk tomorrow. So here's your hail risk tomorrow, and then we'll talk about Little Rock as well. Little Rock is included in your hail risk for tomorrow, so I have that in the high category once again. There you go. There's your high category. Dallas I also have included in the hail risk, and I see a great question here. When you refer to Dallas, does that also mean Fort Worth? Yes, honestly, I should start saying Fort Worth instead, because we're talking about the west side of Dallas here. So probably the Fort Worth area has a greater chance for hail, for large hail, compared to Dallas. Okay, if you go on the east side of Dallas, lower chance. I think that larger hail could be on the west side of Dallas. And really, it's just because of those isolated storms that form down here. And if they can stay isolated, if they can come east enough into Dallas, you could get some of that large hail. It's just the placement, right? If that goes 20 miles to the west, you don't get hit in the metro at all. If you could get that 20 miles to the east, you will get hit in the metro. And Fort Worth has a better chance because it is on the west side of Dallas. So great question there. Thanks for putting that in the chat. There's your hail risk for tomorrow. Let's get to your storms right now, because before we head out, I do want to get to that Little Rock question. So the question was, is there any hail in Little Rock right now? Let's check. So right now we have a tornado warning in Texarkana. One just expired, and most likely because, oh, too fast here. There you go. One just expired, and most likely because these storms are kind of merging, and this is, the inflow isn't as great over here to that north storm. You could see a little bit of hail from this, but really, if these storms are merging, it doesn't have that room to grow and organize, okay? So we'll keep an eye on this. We still see a little bit of rotation from this, but it's really this south storm that we're gonna be more concerned about right now, and I can give you some information on this south storm. Popping up on your screen will be your hail sizes, up to 1 inch in size, not terribly impressive there. And from the National Weather Service, this is radar indicated, not confirmed. This goes until 5:45, and it's moving to the northeast at 45 miles an hour. Going up to the east now, the north and east, we're going into Little Rock. It's gonna take me a minute, but we'll get there. There we go. We could see some small hail with this, but I think for the most part, your hail sizes are going to be, yeah, on the small side. Okay, so less than the size of a quarter, maybe up to the size of a penny in Little Rock. What this severe thunderstorm warning is warned for is high wind. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't get some of those storms down in Texarkana to come up your way and produce large hail later on today. We're really just getting started with that risk here. But right now, less than the size of a quarter and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Again, remember that Little Rock is included in the risk for tomorrow as well. So Arkansas, once again, stay vigilant on those tornado and severe thunderstorm warnings because not all of them are going to look like this. We have a really good risk for tornadoes once again in Arkansas. So let me make sure that we have answered all of those questions. If you do have any more severe weather questions, make sure that you put them in the chat or you can DM us as well. And we will get to those questions. Let me make sure I've answered all of your questions here. I'm reading through your chat. Alrighty, so it looks like I've gotten all of the questions. Kyle says, I heard that Pine Bluff got 2-inch hail earlier. Yeah, I wanted to wait just a minute before I logged off because I knew there would be a few more questions in here. So Pine Bluff is in the eastern side of Arkansas. I haven't seen any reports of 2-inch hail for today, but I can check for you. That may have been yesterday. We may have seen 2-inch size hail yesterday. Actually, one of our Mets can help me answer that question. 2-inch hail in eastern Arkansas. 2.5-inch hail today. Yes. Okay, you were right. Who said that? Kyle said that? Pine Bluff got 2.5-inch hail is what we mapped yesterday. This is what happens whenever we do lives from the studio. We can ask those questions because they're back there mapping it right now. Alrighty, well, thanks for joining us today. We will have another live forecast for you at lunchtime tomorrow. We do these lives every single day at noon. So we are going to, of course, be keeping you updated. If we do see any more tornado warnings or anything major coming into any large cities, we'll keep you updated on that as we go throughout the next 24 hours here. But as always, make sure that you hit that follow button and we will keep you updated on those storm reports on social media. We're on X, Facebook, YouTube. I just posted our 3- and 4-star maps on X just a few minutes ago, so you can see those. If you go over to our Twitter, we're on TikTok and YouTube and LinkedIn, all of the social media platforms. So hit that follow button and we will see you back here for your lunchtime forecast tomorrow.